Hello, friends. Today, let us learn something about the basics of phonetics. And for this class, I base myself on the text English for Effective Communication by Sanjay Kumar and Pushpalada. We are all aware that some speakers in English language, they attract us with their aesthetic presentation of their pronunciation. They have a good command of language, and therefore the right kind of pronunciation is very important basic parlance and also for professional communication. Therefore, it is essential to speak with the right pronunciation, and we need to learn the basics of phonetics for that. One problem or one thing in English is that we have got varieties of English spoken over different countries, and there is no purity of either language or pronunciation. Therefore, we need to focus ourselves on the received pronunciation that is spoken by the educated speakers in the southeastern portion of England, that is London. Let's also see what are the reasons for the incorrect pronunciation. Mainly, there are two major reasons, that lead us to acquire incorrect pronunciation. One thing is our exposure to the ambience, where we are brought up and where we are taught in the schools. If we are not given the right form of pronunciation from our nascency, from our infancy, naturally we also get nativized with the type of English, like Indian English or, Malayali English. So, mother tongue interference is yet another problem. Because of our regional vernacular influence on our style, our English also becomes corrupted. So these are the two reasons mainly for the incorrect pronunciation among Indian students. Therefore, we have to focus on received pronunciation, which has been accepted all over the world. And this is one native regional accent that has gained a social prestige. That is called the received pronunciation of English, or RP for short. This is the pronunciation of the people of southeastern England, as I already mentioned, and it is used by the educated English speakers. Misconception about sounds in English. Because we are taught in schools that there are 26 sounds in English, and we think that there are only 20, actually, there are only 26 speech sounds. Actually, this means there are only 26 alphabets in English, but there are 44 speech sounds. And in English, certain letters or certain alphabets represent the same sound. I give you the example. For example, cat. We write it as CAT, but we pronounce it as cat. Keen, yet another word, KWN. And K also represents the sound keen in a K in keen. Another is occasion. There we have double C, OCCASION. That also carries the sound K. Then we have chemistry. It is represented by or labeled by CH, but it is, it gives the sound K in chemistry. Therefore, K sound is used for C in cat, K in keen, CC in occasion, and CH in chemistry. So in English, different alphabets can give the same sound. Now we come to transcription. There is a standard symbol system in English, that is used to represent standard sounds in English, and this is called International Phonetic Alphabet Symbols, or IPA. Using standard symbols for standard sounds is known as transcription. And now let's come to the sounds in English. There are two types of sounds. They are vowels and consonants. In schools, we are taught that there are five vowels, and that is A, E, I, O, and U. But indeed, there are 20 vowel sounds in English. Out of these 20 vowel sounds, we have 12 pure vowels and then 8 diphthong sounds. Diphthongs are also called vowel glides. They are not pure vowels because they start from one vowel position and then they move on to another vowel position. So gliding over from one position to another position. That is why they are called diphthongs. Apart from these 20 vowels, there are also 24 consonant sounds. So altogether, we have in English 44 speech sounds, out of which we have 24 consonants, 12 pure vowels, and 8 diphthongs. And what's a vowel? Usually, vowel is defined, in literature class as the sounds which are produced with the structure of open approximation. That means during the production of vowel sounds, there is no constriction within the vocal tract, and air escapes from lungs through vocal tract through the mouth freely and continuously without any stricture or any constriction or obstruction. Such sounds are called vowel sounds. Now, we will take each vowel sound in detail. E, that's a long vowel sound E. It is used as in initially and also medially and also in finally. For example, initially we have the words like each, eat, etc. And medially we have dream, seen, seed. There are many words. Finally, also we have, for example, in P or key or C. Then we come to the short vowel, that is E. We have example in intelligent, it, in, etc. It's also used medially and finally. You can find many words, like fill, slip, lip, bit, hit, so many examples. Finally, also it is used, for example, in duty, beauty, lonely, etc. Now we go to the next one, that is A, and it is symbolized or it is labeled by the letter E. Initially, it is used, for example, in enter, exit, entire, etc. Only thing is, this sound is not used finally, does not occur finally in English words, in final position. Both initially and medially, this sound is used. Now we go to the next one, that is A, as an apple, as an axe, actor, etc. This is also used medially, but this sound does not occur in final position in English. Next one is A. Initially, in words like utter, understand, undo, etc. Medially also it occurs, but it doesn't occur in final position in English. Next is long A. It is used in initial position like art, answer, on, etc. Medially also it occurs, and finally, for example, in final position we have car, jar, mar, etc. Next one is O. In English, we have go to three types of O sounds. In Malayalam and in regional varieties, we have only two types of O sounds. That is also one problem with the word NO. Always, Malayali students make a mistake with regard to this sound. It's not no. It's actually no. We have to use the diphthong sound ew for that word, or for a word cold or gold, you know go. It's not go. I don't go, that's not the correct way. I don't go. You can say that. So there are three types of O sounds, and the first one is, the O sound that is pronounced with a rounded lip. That is O, as in god, as in short. That is the type of O. Then we have this is used for medial position, but this sound does not occur in the final position in English. Next one is the flat O, and that is O as in hall, as in shawl, as in ball, etc. Finally, also this sound occurs in words like saw, claw, row, and so on. The next sound is oo. It does not occur in the initial position, but medially and finally we have this sound. I'm sorry, medially it is there, but finally also it doesn't occur in final position. For example, book, cook, look, wood, push, etc. The next is long oo. Initially, we have in words like ooze or oops, etc. Medially, also it occurs. We have in words like suit, loose, foolish, etc. Finally, also we have it here in words like sue, new, you, etc. Then the next vowel sound is That's it occurs initially in words like early, yearn, etc. Medially also we have in third, surface, burn, nurse, etc. Finally also we have this sound in words like her, fur, sir, etc. And then we have another sound, that is Initially, it appears in prepositions like about, and also we find it in allow, ahead, etc. We find the same sound in medial position also, like liberty, condition, factory, society, etc. Finally, also it appears in words like doctor, beggar, caller, etc. Now, we come to diphthongs. And the diphthongs are also known as vowel glides because it starts from one vowel position and then it moves over to glides over to another vowel position. Example, we have A as in bail, male, fail, may, etc. Next one is I. In example, eyes, fine, pipe, nice, etc. Next is oi. In words like spoil, boil, choice, noise, etc. Then we have another the sound. This is the third type of O which I mentioned. O, as in no, as in go, as in home, as in cold, etc. Then we have the sound ow, as in sound, bound, round, allow. Then we have this next diphthong ea, as in here, appear, near, mere, sheer, etc. Then we have the sound ea, as in there, where, chair, and so on. Then we have the sound diphthong ua, as in poor, sure, tour. We always make a mistake with this word. It is not tourism, it is tourism. And you have to use this diphthong here, tour and tourism and tourist. It is not a tourism. So we move on to the next section, that is consonants. There are 24 consonant sounds. And what's a consonant? A consonant is a sound during the articulation or the production of which, there is an obstruction within the mouth cavity. Perhaps with the lips, or perhaps the tip of the tongue and the alveolum or the teeth ridge, or sometimes the back of the tongue striking against the soft palate or the velum. Therefore, it happens in different places, but there is an obstruction. Such sounds are called consonants. So we come to the consonants. First one, per is a sound. It's a bilabial plosive sound, and we have examples like pit, pit, spit, keep, etc. Second one is bur, as in bit, imbibe, jumble, etc. Ter, as in tin, after, what. D, as in din, lead, order. K, as in cut, character, leak. Then G, as in gut, girl, eager. Then th, the Greek alphabet theta. The as in thin, thank, wrath, etc. Then we have the as in then, feather, breathe, etc. Fur as in fat, feather, half. Then we have ver as in vat, wave, velvet. We should also distinguish between the sounds, like ver and were. Yeah, W and V. When you the Indian English speakers, they always make a mistake between these two sounds. Actually, when you use W, you have to use the rounded lips. I'll give you the example with the wine. There are two words. WINE is there and VIN is there. WINE is the drink that we have out of grapes, and that should be pronounced as wine with rounded lips. Whereas wine, that is VINE, that is the plant that produces grapes, and it should be pronounced as wine with the spread out lips. The lower lip striking against the upper teeth. That is wine. But the drink is wine, which we get in liquor shops and all. That is wine. So we come to the next consonant, s, as in sound, pistol, cross, etc. Z, as in zap, zing, maze, etc. Ch sound, and that is cheap, nature, watch, etc. J as in jeep, jealous, judge. Sh as in she, nation, shout. Yeah, this is a very peculiar sound in English, and sometimes it is difficult for us, as in measure. It sounds between sha and ra. Measure, or leisure. That's the sound. Pleasure. It is not a pleasure. It is pleasure. Between sha and ra. So that is ra sound. Then we have her, that's a glottalic sound, and that is a harm, house, etc. Na as an unhappy, nap, near. Then r as in run, ruin. Then we have nga, that's a nasal sound. There are three nasal sounds in English: ma, na, and nga. And nga as in bang, song, etc. W, were as in we, wicked, watch. Le as in left, relate, detail. Then ya is represented by J symbol, and we have the words like yes, yell, yesterday, etc. As I already mentioned about the problems of Indian English, I'll just give you the details. I already mentioned about the difference between sir and z, eyes and ice, falls and false. Then you have fears. Fears is fears. Whereas FIERCE is fierce, terrific. You have HIS, possessive pronoun, that is. Whereas HISS, that is a bite of a snake, hissing. Then we have not the bite, but the sound that the snakes produce. Then you have knees, K and WS, that is knees, is that sound. Whereas when you say niece, that's nephew and niece, that is a s sound. And also some Hindi speakers, when they interchange sounds between sir and sha. They do not get a sha sometimes. Like shave and save. Mm. Then also she and see, sheet and seat, and also shine and sign. But Hindi speakers do make a lot of errors with regard to this sound. Then actually, in order to pick up these words, in nursery schools and all, the teachers used to give a lot of tongue twisters like she sells seashells at the seashore and all. We learned it in kindergarten. Then also, I already mentioned about the difference between were and were. For example, the words like while, WHILE, and VILE is while. That is villain, vicious, evil. That is vile. Then we have west, WEST, that where the sun sets. Whereas we have west, we dress ourselves, WEST, west. Then we have Y, WHY is Y with rounded lips, whereas you have VIE, that is Y. Okay. So it is only with the careful practice that we can avoid such a misconception, or we can avoid such errors in our pronunciation. Now let's come to syllable. A syllable is a basic unit of spoken language, and usually a syllable will have one vowel sound at the center, and it is considered as the nucleus of the vowel of the syllable. Yeah, a word consists of many syllables. Sometimes it can be one syllable. I'll give you example for various types of syllables. And for syllabic structure of a word, when you segment a word into syllables, we used to give the syllabic structure. I give you the example like a train. When you write TRAIN, and when you transcribe it, with a t, r, and a diphthong a and a n. So you have diphthong functions as a single, is taken as a single vowel. Therefore, it is a monosyllabic word. Then we have many examples for monosyllabic words like man, cord, I, lead. All these are monosyllabic words. Whereas disyllabic words, we have freedom, agree, or tell. All these are two-syllabled words. When we have a three-syllabled word, for example, dictionary or relation, these are relation, dictionary. So there are three syllables within that. So this is how we segment a word into syllables. And how to count the syllables? There are some rules for that. One is count the vowel sounds in the word. When I said a relation, you check how many vowel sounds are there. RELATION, right? you have a re, there is, that's a syllable. Lay, lay, that's another syllable. Tion, yo, that is taken as a diphthong, therefore it is counted as one vowel. So relation, we have three syllables there. So depending on the number of vowel sounds, we have the syllables in a word. Then subtract any silent vowel in the word. For example, you have a blue, E is silent, right? And you take only that oo sound. It's a monosyllabic word, but we don't take the ending E in blue. Or name, we take only A, that is the only sound, but there are two vowels inside. Therefore, it is not the number of vowels, it's the number of vowel sounds heard that determines the number of syllables in a word. Count diphthongs as only one single vowel sound. The number of vowel sounds is the same as the number of syllables. You should listen. It is the number of vowel sounds heard, not the number of vowels in the word. It is the number of vowel sounds heard when you speak that syllable, that is taken. So the number of syllables that you hear when you pronounce a word is the same as the number of vowel sounds heard. For example, words like, as I said, rule, blue, name. There are number more than one vowels are there, but it is not heard. All the vowels are not heard. Therefore, they are taken only as single or a monosyllabic word. And also, when you have a E silent at the end, or when you have O at the end, and it is silent, it's not counted then. Another, for example, outside is an example. There are four vowels when you take outside, there are four vowels, but actually, all the vowels are not taken. For example, E at the end, it is silent, therefore it cannot be counted. And also OU, that is taken as a diphthong. Therefore, it is counted only as one sound. So the word has only two vowels sounds, in fact, and therefore this is a disyllabic word. Now we come to the very important part of this class, that is word stress. English is an accent based, stress based language. Malayalam is a syllable based language. We speak, on the same pattern. We do not modify it in Malayalam. Whereas when in English you have to modify it, you have to modify your tone and all, because it is a stress based language. And in a word, not all the syllables are given due importance, or equal importance in English. For example, in the word ability, when you write, ability, that B is given prominence, because just before that letter B, you can see in dictionary there will be a mark, a stress mark given towards the left top corner of a B, ability. And in each word you can find such stress marks. And what is stress? Stress is the degree of force with which we utter a word, and all the syllables in the word are not given equal importance. There will be one or two. One will be given primary importance, and then another one also will be given secondary importance. And the primary stress will be marked, as I said, at the left top corner, left to top side of that particular syllable. The primary stress will be given. The secondary stress will be given below, left side, left below portion of that's a syllable. The secondary stress will be given. For example, when you say the word pronunciation, pronunciation, there are five syllables, and the stress falls on pronunciation. Pronunciation. So A is given importance, that's a primary stress. And you also give a secondary stress, pronun. There you can give the secondary stress. Pronunciation. That's the way we should say that word. So we have some rules which we are supposed to follow when you speak English. So the first rule is, when a word in English is used as a noun or adjective, the stress is on the first syllable. And when the same word is used as a verb, the stress is on the second syllable. I give you example like uh, record. When the word record is used as a noun, the stress is on the first syllable and it becomes record. Record. Whereas when it is used as a verb, it becomes record. The stress is on the second syllable. Another one is object. Now, I object, in the court and all, the lawyers do say. First one is object, and that is noun. And there the stress is on the first syllable. That means object means a thing, a stuff. What is it? It's an object, we say, no? The stress is on the first syllable. But when you use the same word as a verb, it becomes object. I object. So as a verb, when you use it, stress is on the second syllable. Same thing with a subject. When you say the papers, when you study in graduation and all, you say subject. That's papers. That's noun. But when you use it, same thing. I am subjected to pain. There the stress is on the second syllable, subjected. So sub becomes sub. Therefore, there is a change in the vowel quality. Only when you transcribe the word, you will understand the difference. I said object, but when it is used as a verb, it is not o, it is a, object. So o sound becomes a sound, and the stress goes to the second syllable. The second rule is, words with weak prefixes are accented on the root. I give you example. Usually for the prepositions like below, among, admit, ago, reduce, above, develop. So the we prefix means, the sounds that or the part that stands before the root of the word, that's called prefix. And also we have suffix. For example, when you add in when you say verbs with a present tense and all, you say ing, ed and all, that is called suffix. So here you have prefix which is weak. For example, below. So be, that is a prefix, and the stress goes on the root of the syllable, and that is low. Below, among, etc. Ability, as I said, the next word, earlier also I mentioned that. The next rule is verbs of two syllables beginning with the prefix dis. For example, disable, dispel, disturb, disclose. So in such words, the words beginning with this prefix dis, they are stressed on the last syllable. You know how I said it is dispel, disturb. I didn't say disturb. I said disturb, disclose. So the words beginning with this prefix dis, you have to stress on the last syllable. Then the next is verbs that have two syllables and they end in ate, isc, izd, ct. I'm sorry. These are all stressed on the last syllable. Example, you have attract, narrate, debate, baptize, cremate, inject, capsize. Next rule is words ending in ion are stressed on the last but one syllable. For example, as I said, no, pronunciation. I said, the last syllable is tion, and the last but one syllable is a. So words ending with ion, how you should stress? It's not on the last syllable, but one before the last. Pronunciation or application, introduction, assimilation, examination, simplification, production, explanation. This is how. Next rule is words ending in IC, ICAL, ICALLY, IAL, IALLY, and IAN. So these verbs are stressed on the syllable before the suffix. Need not be verbs; it can be other words also, like charismatic, memorial, special, substantial, librarian, officially. So you have a musician, you have examples like that. The next one is words ending in IOUS and EOUS. They're stressed on the last but one or penultimate syllable. Example, mysterious, laborious, rebellious, spontaneous, courageous, etc. Words ending in ATE, ISC, IZE, or FY. They are stressed on the third syllable from the end. Example, duplicate, modernize, justify. When I say these words, I've already mentioned, the syllabic structure and all. Therefore, you have to syllabify the word, then you will understand where I give the stress. As per the rule, it is on the third syllable from the end. You can count, for example, duplicate. You segment it, duplicate. So the end one is kate. And the third one from the end is it is due. That's why duplicate. Similarly, modernize, justify, cultivate, etc. Now, words ending in ity, crscy, and crat. These are stressed on the third syllable from the end. Example: democracy, autocracy, curiosity, creativity, equality, autocrat, like that. Then words ending in graph, graphy, meter, and logy, they are stressed on the third syllable from the end. Example: autograph, psychology. When you say the word psychology, all the words ending in logy, all the signs, you should know the difference between. When it is used as a noun, it is psychology. But when you have to say the adjective form, it is not a psychological, it is psychological. It is. And when you say the adverbial form, it is not a psychologically, it is psychologically. Psychologically. Therefore, similarly, philosophy, philosophical, and philosophically. Economy, economic, and economically. You should always distinguish the difference between these. Now the next rule is words ending with the suffixes like aire, eer, ental, ential, esc, ESCE, ESC, ENCE, ESCENT, ESQUE, IQUE, EE, ETTE, ETE, and ADE. They are stressed on the suffix. I give you some examples like career, pioneer, millionaire, billionaire, questionnaire, barricade, delete, existential. Some of the examples. In case of compound words, that is words that are made up of two words and they are written as one word, the stress is on the first element. For example, compound words we have. For example, blacksmith. The two words are there. It refers to one person. The stress is on the first element. Blacksmith, dining room, you say. It is dining room. Tea party, blackbird. So the first element is given stress. However, in compound words with the ever and self, there's a problem. Usually the stress is on the second element. I give you the example: however, himself, herself, whenever. So that is it. Sometimes both the elements are stressed, but the primary stress remains on the second element. For example, afternoon, old fashioned, absent minded, etc. One more note here: the inflectional suffixes such as es, ing, and ed, and the derivational suffixes like age, ance, so on and so forth, they are not stressed. They do not affect the stress pattern. So, some examples like wanted, boxes, fine, finely. So, the suffix, the additions which we give at the end, that doesn't affect the stress pattern of the word. Now, how to transcribe? Step one: always begin by dividing a word into parts. As I already said, you have to segment the word into syllabic structure, syllables. Then only you can correctly transcribe the word. Then the second one is, the number of vowel sounds determine the number of syllables in a word. Therefore, while transcribing a word, you need to divide the word into syllables. Step three, then fix the stress according to the rules which I mentioned, and finally go on to transcribe the word. So these are the rules that we must follow. Some transcriptions will be given along with the class, on the side as text. Then we come to the next section, that is weak forms. In English, we have words for functional words have both a strong form and a weak form in connected speech. And usually it is the weak form that is used in connected speech. For example, when you say a sentence like, "What do you want to do this evening?" It appears twice in that sentence. What do you want to do? What do you want to do this evening? Here, the first do is actually, it is a functional word. Therefore, it is not given stress. Whereas the second do is the main word, that's a content word. And content word should be given stress. So when you transcribe that word, the second do is given stress. Function words, they have got two forms, and we will just analyze some of these function words. For example, determiners or quantifiers like the definite article. It has got two forms, the and the. When you use this definite article, it depends on the pronunciation, depends on the word that follows. For example, the next word, if it begins with a vowel sound, then it becomes the. For example, the umbrella, the aeroplane, the apple. Whereas the next word, that follows the definite article, if it begins with a consonantal sound, the pronunciation will be the. For example, the truth, mm, the fact. So, but, therefore, the quality of the definite articles, the sound, it depends on the next word that follows. So, we have got two forms like the and the. Similarly, we have an. You have a strong form, an, you can say. But when you use it in connected speech, it is not an, it is an umbrella, an apple, it is an. Similarly, some. There are, such a weak forms are given in the text. For pronouns, we have is, H-I-Z, is. But in connected speech, it is not H-I-Z, it is I-Z. Or sometimes it is Z, that's all. Him. HIM is a strong form, IM or im is the weak form. Then we have than, in prepositions, it has both form than and then. More than, more than the girls. It's not more than, it's not more than. Because in connected speech, we use weak form. At, so it has a weaker form, at. For and a fur. From and from. Of and of. To and to. As and is. There and the. Conjunctions, we have and un. And is a strong form, whereas you have n. For example, bread and butter. We don't say bread and butter. We say bread and butter. Therefore, only n is there. Bread and butter. But and but. That and that. So similarly, we have for auxiliaries for can, have, has, had, will, shall, should. All these auxiliaries also have both a strong form and a weak form. And the last portion of the class is intonation. With this, we will just consolidate the complete session. The variation in the pitch patterns of voice is called intonation. As I said, English is a stress-timed language. Therefore, we don't say on the same pitch. There is always a variation in pitch, and this pitch variation determines the intonation pattern. And while speaking, we glide over the less important words such as pronouns, auxiliaries, articles, and all, and we give importance to content words like nouns, principal verbs, adjectives, and verbs, and so on. They are called content words. Okay, or lexical items. So this quality of quickly gliding over less important words is the characteristic feature of connected speech. Syllable, and for rules of intonation, we have got three rules, and one is falling tone, second one is rising tone, and the last one is fall rise tone, which is rarely used. And in falling tone, statements have a falling tone. Then for example, I went to Delhi, and the falling tone is marked with a stress like a mark, towards the left top corner of the word. I went to Delhi. It's a falling tone. WH question like who, what, when, why, all these also have a falling tone. For example, when did he come? Tag questions take a falling tone. Imperative statements take a falling tone. For example, sit down, go and see a doctor. That is falling tone. Then we have rising tone. That is an yes or no questions. For example, was it expensive? Will you come? So it has a rising tone. Then also it is used at the end of questions which do not have an interrogative word. You are coming tomorrow? Huh? Are you coming? So which doesn't have an interrogative word, rising tone is used. Requests also have a rising tone. Please calm down. Huh? Will you, please post this letter. Okay, that is also. The last one is fall rise tone, and it is, it signals dependency, continuity, and non-finality. Very rarely we have for examples in fall rise tone. So as I conclude the class, let's recapitulate what we already have analyzed or we have discussed. English is spoken the world over, As there is such a wide range of variation in pronunciation and accent, it is essential for us to follow a standard pattern, and we are supposed to follow the received pronunciation, RP of English. There are 24 sounds in speech sounds in English, out of which we have 24 consonants. Then we have 20 vowels, out of which there are 12 pure vowels and 8 diphthong glides. A vowel sound, as we discussed, is articulated with a structure of open approximation. There is no block or constriction within the mouth cavity during the articulation of vowel sounds. Whereas during the articulation of consonant sounds, they are produced with a structure of close approximation. That is, the consonants are produced, during the articulation of which, there is a constriction or there is a block within the mouth cavity, and such sounds are called consonant sounds. Syllable, it has usually one vowel sound as its nucleus. So a word has as many syllables as there are vowel sounds. English is an accent based language, and we are supposed to follow certain regulations, certain rules with regard to the pronunciation of words in English. Then weak forms, we spoke about the two forms of function words, like strong form and weak form. Then we also talked about the patterns of pitch variation called intonation, and about the three rules which we are supposed to follow while articulating words in English. So that is called, that pitch patterns, variation in pitch patterns of voice is called intonation. So this is what we have discussed in this class. We will come back with yet another topic in the next session. Thank you very much.